Hello, my beautiful loves. Welcome to the Art of Contemplation. I'm your host, Sarah, and today we are kicking off our entire section on human design. So, I wanted to start off with a little intro about what human design is, and encourage you guys to dive down this rabbit hole because it is one of the most fun and yet practical rabbit holes that I have ever gone down. So, what is human design? Human design is this concept that you were born with a mission, with a reason, a purpose for being down here. I think we all kind of feel this inside of us. One of the things that I hear from people the most when they first come to work with me is I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what my purpose here is. Like I want to know why it is that I am down here. So I think all of us innately know that there is something more. There's a reason why we are here. We are not just here to work and make money and pay bills and eventually die. And yet, we don't really know what that is. We're not really encouraged to explore or to discover that. And so human design helps us, it gives us a blueprint, if you will, on how it is that we can put ourselves in the best position to be able to experience and discover what that purpose and that mission is. And so when we came down on this planet, we were given a body that was very specifically designed for us. Now, when we think of body, I know that we like to think of things on the physical plane, right? Like I just cut my hair this morning by myself. But it's like, okay, I have this hair, I have these eyes, I have this nose, I have this. But what we're really talking about here with human design is the energetics of our body, like who we are, what we bring to the table. I have heard, for example, from the time that I was a little girl, that people just love listening to me speak or love listening to me share. I was always, the person who presented for the groups. I was always the person that was put on stage for certain things. I was always emceeing things. As I got older and I got into, my corporate world, I was always the one that was training from the front, always the one that was presenting. It's like there was something about my energy that turned up and turned on when I was in front of a group of people presenting. And there was something about that energy that really appealed to people. And I was constantly hearing, we love when you're up there. We love when you're up there. We love when you teach. Right. And so that's what I'm talking about is these essences of people that they can't really explain that they were born with. And so when we look at human design to me, the best way that I can describe it is this chart. It's like a manual for how to use the energetics of your body. Imagine that the energetic body that you have, this body that you see me in, it's like a vehicle for my soul to be on this planet. Souls don't have the ability without the body to do the things that we came here to do. Souls can't touch with their hands. They can't physically create, with their they don't have fingers, right? Like they can't taste, they can't smell, they can't experience this physical plane. And so they have to be in a vehicle that allows them to do that. And so if we think about our body as the vehicle that our soul is inside driving, then we can think about human design as the manual to that vehicle. How was this vehicle designed to operate? What are its features? What are its functions? What do those dashboard lights mean? How do we know that something's not operating correctly with this vehicle? How do I fix that? What does this vehicle want? Right. And so that's what human design is. And that's how I would encourage you guys to use it. Now, a little bit about myself. If you guys have never heard my story before, I have always done everything the way that people conditioned me to believe that I was supposed to do it. When I was a child, I listened to what my parents said, and they had good intentions. They wanted me to become a successful person. And so they taught me these certain things and said, this is the way life is supposed to be. And I did all of those things. I graduated in the top 4 or 3% of my class, got a full scholarship for academics, went into college, did great in college, was promoted very quickly inside of my job. I worked inside of corporate America. By the end of my first year in that business, I was promoted into management. I was making a great salary. I had a 401k, my credit score was through the roof. I bought a house, I got married, was trying to settle down, got the dog, like did everything that people told me, if you do this, you will be successful and you will be happy in life. And you know what happened? I was miserable. I was so miserable. I was so burnt out. I was struggling with depression. I was struggling with suicidal thoughts. I hated going into work every single day. I felt like I was in the world, but that I was asleep somehow, like I was numb and just going through the motions. I felt that way with my marriage. I was just really in this like dark place, even though on the outside looking in, everybody thought everything was perfect. And so what I did was I started this journey of self-discovery. I started this journey of really figuring out what was going on with me. And it started because I was desperate to feel better. I thought there was something mentally wrong with me. I was on antidepressants, anticonvulsants to help with mood swings. And, I thought that there was something wrong with me. And I was trying to figure out what is this thing and how can I fix it? And it was inside of that journey that I realized that I was not being authentically myself. And so I started to get to know myself. I started to contemplate so much more. You guys are going to hear me talk about contemplation. My YouTube is called The Art of Contemplation because, as you guys will see later in my human design, that's such a big part of who I am. And so I started to contemplate, why am I here? What am I doing? Why do I do the things that I do? Why do I think the way that I think? Why do I make the decisions that I make? Why am I in this relationship? Why do I think this person is the best for me to be married to? Why did I end up in this job? Why am I choosing this job? Why am I choosing to spend my time doing this? I started to contemplate all of those things. And what I found was that everything inside of my life I had done because I had been conditioned to believe that those were the things that I should be doing, that there was going to be some payoff at the end, that there was going to be happiness and fulfillment and excitement at the end of that journey. And when I got there, I realized that none of those things existed. And so I started to shed those layers and I started to really get to know myself. And when I'm talking about getting to know yourself, I'm talking about that inner knowing, not just like spending time alone, reading a book or taking a bubble bath. Those things are great, but that's not what I'm not saying spend time alone. I'm saying spend time with yourself. Give yourself the same attention that your children want, that your jobs want, that your boyfriend wants, that right, like really just sit with yourself, talk to yourself. And inside of doing that, I realized that I was somebody completely different than I had been portraying. And I started to take these masks off. Me and my husband got divorced. I left my corporate job. I started working for myself. I shed all my old friends and started attracting new ones. And as I was doing that, I started to notice something. I started to notice that for one, I started to feel more fulfillment in my life. And life started to become easier, dare I say, easier. Stuff started to flow my direction. Things just started to pop up in my life, that things that like supported me in moving forward. And it was like the puzzle pieces were all starting to connect. And I found myself in these situations at the perfect time, around the perfect people, at the perfect moment, saying the perfect thing. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I started to live my life that way. And these incredible, amazing things happened in my life. A lot of people have what they call a bucket list, which is like all the things that they wish that they could do by the time that they die. And although that's cool, like I like the idea of a nectar list, which is like nectar, the sweetness of fruit, right? And I like to think of all the things that I've already done and experienced, like how rich my life is. And that list is incredibly long and vibrant and beautiful. There is so much seasoning and flavor inside of this life. And I'm 38. I don't know how old I am. 38? No, 37. I was born in 86. 37. Okay, so it's like my life has just been so rich and beautiful. And so I was like, what was this change? So I started teaching this course called Up Level, and the way that Up Level came about, it was so beautiful. I owned what I could best describe to the masses as like a smoothie shop, right? So people would come in and they would sit at the bar and I would serve healthy drinks. And I started noticing that these people were like spending like all day at my smoothie shop. And I came from corporate America. I didn't even know people were like out during the daytime, right? Like I thought everybody was in offices and cubicles. Like my mind was like blown. I remember when I first left my corporate job, I went to a coffee shop. You guys are gonna find if you listen to me, I go off on these tangents. But I was in this coffee shop and I remember looking around and being like, there are tons of people in here. Like, what do you guys do? Why, how are you guys here right now? Don't you have work? And they're like, oh, I consult or I do web design or and it was like real people with real careers, but they weren't in an office building. They were like out living their best life ever. And I was like, man, like there's a whole slew of people doing this. And so as I'm sitting in my smoothie shop and these people are sticking around, I'm like, why are you guys here? And I kept hearing the same thing over and over and over again. I don't know what it is, but I love being in here. I love being around you. I love listening to what's going on in your life. Like I could just listen to you all day long. I just kept hearing that over and over and over again. And all I was doing was I was just sharing with them what was going on in my life, how it was that I was contemplating and what discoveries I was making about myself, what changes I was making about myself. I was going through so much at the time. It was everything around me was changing. And I was sharing that with people. And they wanted to know more. They wanted to know more. And so they would sit at my bar and they would ask me all these questions. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And as we were having those discussions, we would be interrupted, right? Because customers would come in and I would make them their drinks, and sometimes they would join in and sometimes they would leave, but it was causing like a disruption in the flow of us sharing. And so they had asked me, would you consider running a class where you teach us these things that you're experiencing in your life? And so I was like, would I? I guess I would. I have the building, I have the time. Why not? So I developed this course called Up Level, and it was all about how to up level your vibration, your frequency, your emotions, your mindset, regardless of what's going on inside of your life. And I started teaching that class out of that building, and it blew up. And it became something that I was so incredibly passionate about, and I loved every minute of it. And so as I started to teach this to people, what I noticed was that two things would happen. Either the person would learn the art of lifting their vibration to manifest and to call certain things into their life. And they would do this, but never quite change the way that they felt overall about life as far as satisfaction goes. They were still feeling unfulfilled. And meanwhile, there was a group of people who were manifesting everything that they wanted and getting into the right vibration, and things were like flourishing for them, and they were so fucking happy. Like I was, like I am. And it was like, why the difference? Why, when I teach this technique to some people, they're able to apply it, but they're not getting like an internal change. And meanwhile, other people are getting this internal change. And so I kept putting it out there. Like, I want to know why. I'm contemplating why? A prime example, I'll give you guys prime examples. I love giving examples. One of the women that would come into my smoothie shop, she worked right next door at the dog groomers. I fucking love this story. This woman is one of the sweetest souls I have ever met. Like she will just take in dogs that are like in hospice, right? Like they are about to pass and they're homeless for whatever reason. Maybe the owner surrendered them or couldn't afford their treatments or whatever the case may be. And she takes these dogs in, and I have never seen anybody love an animal the way that she can love an animal. And she would just love the crap out of these animals until they passed. And a lot of them would live much longer than their life expectancy. And that is because I firmly believe she was loving on them so much. They wanted to be around for her. And she's just the amount of dogs that I've seen her lay to rest, right? And it's got to be taxing on her, but she does it because she just loves what she's able to provide for them in the end of in the end of their life. Like she just comforts them on their way out. Right. And so she was doing this and she was working as a dog groomer in the place right next to mine. And I remember at the time, I think the least expensive thing I sold there was like a tea, like an iced tea. And I think it was like $3 or $4. And she would come in all the time and she would be like, I'm so sorry. I can't really afford a tea right now, but I just kind of wanted to be here and I just kind of wanted to be in your presence. And I remember I would think like, you can't afford a $3 tea? Like, and it wasn't about me making the $3. It was just shocking because I saw her literally working constantly. And I'm like, how can this woman be working so many hours? She puts so much in what she's doing. She's living her purpose, right? Because she's doing this for these animals. And yet she's like so broke that she can't buy this drink. It was like mind blowing to me. And so I would have these conversations with her, and her thinking was just so limited. And I remember she would start working with me on like the law of attraction and understanding your frequency, understanding what you're pulling in, understanding how your limited beliefs are actually resisting your riches from coming your direction, like really working on that with her. And I would just have these moments where I would just talk to her as she would come in. And one day I actually asked her, I said, why don't you own your own? Like, you're the best person over there. The customers love you. Why don't you open your own, dog grooming place? And she was like, what? I could never do that. I said, what are you talking about? You are no different than me. I'm doing it. I left my job and I opened this place and I'm here and I'm owning this business. Like you can do this. Like, what do you mean? And she's like, no, I just couldn't. Her limited belief was just, they were just so heavy. And so I did this exercise with her. She wanted two things in her life. She wanted a level, right? And she wanted to make more money. And so we did some exercises. Gosh, this was probably a decade ago. We did some exercises around, manifesting a love. And I told her, I said, look, I'm doing this up level class. I really think that you should take it. You could benefit so much for it. I knew she couldn't afford it. I honestly I don't even remember if she paid. All I remember is that she said she would think about it. And then she showed up. Maybe I was doing them for free. I'm sorry, I'm getting off on tangent. But for whatever reason, that day that the up level started, she shows up, and not only does she show up, she shows up with a guy that she had just met and went on a date with. And the conversation centered around everything that she had just talked to me about. And he was like, I want to get involved. So now she's in my class with this guy. I'd never seen her date anybody. And here she was with this guy, and they were taking my class. And so she takes the class, right? And she learns all about this incredible stuff. You guys got to check out my playlist around Up Level. I give the whole course for free now. It's on my YouTube. So check it out. And if you were one of the first people watching this video, it's not up yet. Okay, I'm putting the videos up, but I promise it's gonna be up. If you're watching this in a month or so after I've created this, it's all gonna be there. So she takes this class, and around the time that the class ended, something shifted for me, and I ended up changing location. So I had left that place and I had moved on to another location. And so I had heard through the grapevines that she ended up leaving that place and she went to another grooming place, and we lost contact. And I knew that she was doing better, but I didn't really keep in touch. So at my new location, I'm there and I'm serving up some drinks. This location had like the bar was much closer to the front window, so you can see people passing by. And the unit next to us was completely empty. And one day I'm making a drink and I'm just like looking out the window and I see her walk past my front window. I think I'm gonna sneeze. Hang on. Yep. Oh, all my moms know I gotta clench down there, to keep myself from peeing myself. I did good. I just had a baby 7 months ago. Okay, so I see her walk past and I'm like, okay, what is going on? I haven't seen this one forever. So I run out. I'm like, hey, 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 and she's like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in forever. And I said, what are you doing here? And she goes, you're never gonna believe it, but I'm looking at the space next to yours. I'm thinking about opening my own place. I'm like, no fucking way. She's like, yeah. She's like, I'm so scared. I don't know how to do the negotiations. Do you mind coming in with me? Can you talk to the realtor for me? I'm like, go, I got you. So we go in, like, talk about perfect place, perfect timing, right? So we go in, we talk to the realtor. She ends up saying yes, she wants to do this. Okay, so she opens up her own grooming salon. Now this is right before COVID. Okay. So I end up moving locations again. I move around a lot. My life is constantly move, change, 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 change. And it's in my design to be that way. I used to feel guilt around this. And now I know this is exactly how I'm designed to live. And so, long story short, even through COVID, she fucking killed it. Killed it. Her place is so popular. She's doing an incredible job. She's in a relationship. She's happy. She's got more dogs than I think I've ever seen her have. She's remodeling certain parts of her house. I'm constantly watching her on Facebook where she's like, I'm doing the floors and I'm doing the repainting and I've got new furniture. And right now she's redoing her backyard, owns her own house. She went from the girl who couldn't afford the tea to the girl who built the life of her dreams. And you can just see it in her. Her face just lights up. And then I had other clients. I had this other client who took the class. She took the class like 7 times. Man, this girl was in a dark, dark place. She took the class like 7 times. She took the class with her girlfriend at the time. She came to a couple of us. She didn't take it all 7 times. She took it with her once, I think, and then did the couple up level. And this girl was just like, man, when I met her, it was just like, oh my God, she's so much work to do. So I started to teach her how to manifest. And on the outside looking in, things are going great. She quits her job. She goes on a year backpacking trip in Asia where she like learns all of these things. She's healing her relationship with her adopted son. Like she's doing all of these beautiful things on paper, right? She comes back. She ends up landing this job, making more money than she's ever made. She actually hired me to do a remodel for her. I do all the things. And so I was able to go and do the remodel. And I remember letting her into class for free because she couldn't afford it. And here she is paying me, thousands of dollars to come in and do this remodel for her, and then while I'm there doing the remodel, her car's giving her a hard time. And she ends up buying a new car cash because she has that much in the bank. So it's like on the outside, all of these things that she's been able to manifest using the things that I taught her. And that's an incredible feeling. And yet she was still really struggling, like really struggling internally. It was like she was manifesting these things, but somehow the opportunities and the things that she was manifesting in her life were not actually in alignment with her highest self, with her highest frequency. It was stuff that she thought she wanted, but once it was there, it wasn't actually doing the magic that a lot of times us manifesting can create. And I contemplated this. I'd be like, why? What's the difference here? Why is it that some people manifest the things that make them happier in life and other people can manifest all these things and they're still miserable? Me and the second girl, we actually ended up having this huge falling out, right? She had done and said some things that were just super, super hurtful, and I had to make the decision to end that friendship and end that, client teacher relationship. And that was really difficult, but it just spoke volumes to, even with all of her growth on the outside internally, there was just still some shit going on. And so I sat in contemplation around this. And a lot of times when I'm sitting in contemplation, I will ask the universe, please bring it to me, what it is that I need to see, what it is that I need to experience, what it is that I need to understand and enter human design. My sister, she's a manifestor. You guys are going to learn about that. My entire life, my sister has brought things to me, and you will hear as you learn about human design that that's what manifestors do. As I say, this is what we're doing. Generators, manifesting generators, pay attention to this. And I'm a manifesting generator. You're going to learn more about that. And so it's like, she's just feeding it to me. This is what you got to do, Sarah. This is what you got to do, Sarah. And I'm like, at first, I'm like, oh, my little sister, I know better. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, she had a point. And everything she's brought to me ends up turning into like the greatest thing ever. And I've learned that by now. So when she brought me human design, I was like, pay attention. She's like, you got to look at this. I think you'll love it. So I started down the rabbit hole of human design and it freaking blew my mind. But this is what was so crazy. As I was looking through my human design, I realized that I had actually been living within my design for years without even knowing what my design was. And that is how I was able to create this life that I was just so obsessed and in love with. Everything that I touched that was successful, it was successful because I was doing it through the lens of my design without knowing what my design is. So I want to really stress this. You don't have to discover human design in order to use it. A lot of people will start to move in alignment with their human design just by being their true, authentic self. It's sort of like you don't need a church to connect to your higher divine. There is a way that somebody can go internally and know that there is something that loves them, that cares about them without somebody actually giving them the doctrine. So even though this sequence inside of this series inside of YouTube is supposed to help you understand the doctrine of human design, it means nothing. It will give you nothing if you do not go internally and start to get to know yourself and start to break through all of this conditioning and take off all of these masks that you've been conditioned to wear and start to get to know yourself and actually apply what it is that you learn about yourself in human design. I firmly believe that the reason why some of my clients were able to find fulfillment through their manifestations while others did not is because in the cases where it brought fulfillment, they knew who they were and they knew what motivated them and they were connected to their purpose and to their mission. So then when they started to ask for things and manifest things in their life, the things that they were asking for and manifesting were in complete alignment with who they were born to be. So there was an actual intrinsic change in the value that they had inside of their life. Where other people who use my techniques to manifest things were manifesting the things that people told them they should want, disconnected, unaligned with their mission and their purpose. And that is why intrinsically there was no change. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at this as I need to wipe the slate clean. I need to understand that everything that I am today is most likely here because someone else has told me if I do this, if I be this thing, if I be this way, if I do this thing, if I make this decision, there will be a payoff. I will finally enjoy my life. And you have to be willing to wipe that clean and look at yourself as a brand new baby where you get to decide what it is you like, what it is you're drawn to, how it is you want to wear, how it is you want to talk, how, and this blueprint called human design is going to help you. It's going to show you how you were designed to operate so that you can explore those things. What it will not do is tell you, do this, say yes to this, say no to this, do this, and you will be rich. This is what you were designed to do. It will not do that. If you think that human design is going to tell you what you need to do is start your own marketing firm, and this is what that looks like, and this is how you, and this is the business model, it's not going to do that. It's going to give you some insight so that you can go inside and contemplate what that looks like for you. It is to help, right? The manual of your car will teach you how to make sure that your car is running the most effective and efficient for you to drive it, but it will not tell you where you should take that car. It won't tell you what trips you should take. Do you get me? So we're going to be learning about how to use our energy, but it's going to be up to you to do that inner work to discover, what do I want to do with these talents? What makes me light the fuck up? And we're going to see that all inside of our human design chart. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to have you go to a server to pull your actual human design chart if you've never pulled it before. There are a bunch of different servers out there. My favorite one is mybodygraph.com. And the reason why I love this one is because I've never had any errors with it. With some other servers, I've seen people get charts that are not accurate for whatever reason. There's like a mismatch with how they pull the timing, the time zones. So mybodygraph.com does not have that error. When you go to mybodygraph.com, actually, let me just show you guys how to do this. Let me just walk you there. So wait, first I have to pull up. Bear with me here. Okay, I'm gonna pull up Google. I'm so excited to be doing this, guys. Like, I'm so excited. I get so many requests for human design stuff, and I'm just super excited for this. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna share my Google sharing. Okay, so I believe you guys can see all this. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, so you'll see it's actually here because I visited so much. You can really tell where, first of all, can we talk about this for a minute? 1,294 unread messages in my Gmail. Okay, we're not gonna talk about it. My Herbalife, if you guys don't know, I'm an Herbalife fanatic. Actually, how I left my corporate job was replacing my income with this. I did so well inside of Herbalife. I was able to reach the top 5% of the company in owners in the first year of being in that business. I hit the first level, I hit the first level of the top 5% my 9th month in the business. And what was crazy, like just to highlight, I feel like I'm getting off on another tangent, but just to highlight for a second the power of human design. I always wondered how it was that I did so well because I never did the typical MLM things that they tell you to do. And once I learned my human design, I was like, oh, that's why. Because I was fucking operating as my true authentic self inside of my design the entire time I was in that business. And that's why it blew up. And it wasn't until I started to operate the way that people were telling me to instead of my design that things started to slow down. So, okay, so we're going to go to mybodygraph.com. Oh, come on. Let's try this again. mybodygraph.com. I recently just got married too. Yay! To my high school sweetheart. Well, he wasn't my high school sweetheart. He was my high school crush who was not interested in me at all. Okay, they just changed this. Interesting. Okay, I know that they've been doing new stuff. They totally redesigned their, okay. Okay, beautiful. So when you get here, you're going to want to click on the button that says start for free, right? Now, when you click start for free, it should ask you for some information about yourself. Let's see what it asks you. This all looks so new. Let's see. If you are an existing user logging into the new Bodygraph for the first time, please don't log in. Purchase products. Guys, I'm so excited because this is literally all new. I have not seen it. Ah! Okay, if you're new to the website, then you're going to have to register here. I'm actually going to sign in already. I'm so excited. What? Guys, this looks completely different than what I am used to. They've had the little tagline on. Okay, I think this is what really did it. Human design is becoming more and more popular, and I feel like this was not the most user-friendly platform, even though it gave really good information. And so I think they went in here and revamped. Good job. Okay, so anyways, what you're gonna do is when you're brand new and you're doing this, go away, toolbox. When you're brand new and you're doing this, okay, you're going to put in your information. You need your birth date, you need your time of birth, and you need your place of birth. If you don't know the time, see if it's on your birth certificate. See if your mom could give you just the smallest window possible. You want to get as close to that time, if not the exact time as possible, because your design changes throughout the day. So you want to make sure that you are honing in. So this is actually my body graph. This is what it looks like. You are going to have this, it looks like a human in the middle right here. You're going to see some of it is white, some of it is colors. I'm going to be teaching you guys all about that, right? And then you're going to have on the left-hand side, you're going to have all of these. Wow, they've changed all of this. This is so cool. You're going to have all these numbers. You're going to have this the same on this side, all these numbers. Then you're going to have your properties, what type you are, what strategy you are, your themes, your definitions, your authority, your profile, and then your incarnation cross. All right, so this is really cool. They actually have like a learn as you go type. Very, very neat. Okay, so you can buy all the extra stuff in here. Let me stop sharing this. Stop share. Okay, you can go on that website and you can buy all of their things. That's how I got started. I bought all of their things, all the access to all of the goodies. And I spent hours and hours and hours going down those rabbit holes. I was so intrigued by this that I wanted to implement it with my clients. And so I started to learn even more about human design. I enrolled in a bunch of different human design courses. Most recently, I'm actually still in it. I'm in a 4-month course about how to use human design inside of business. So you can absolutely go down that rabbit hole, or you can watch all my videos because I teach you everything that I learned. My intention around these videos is to take a very complex, convoluted system and to break it down in an easy, digestible way for people to understand. So if you are curious about learning more about what those things inside of your chart mean and how it is that you can use it to start stepping into understanding who you are and the highest level of frequencies for the energy that you were given, so that you can get a better understanding of your true authentic self, and you can start to implement those things. And then you can watch my up level if you've never watched that before, where you can learn all about the law of attraction and how it is that we manifest things through our vibration, through our frequency, in order to create this life that is just so fulfilling. That's what I invite you to do. I invite you to do that. So please, if you've loved this, like, comment, subscribe, share. And I will see you guys for episode 2 if you feel called. I love you guys.